Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about different expenses that we have in our lives. So, when we think about the word expense, what do you think expenses are? And why do we have them? Think about it. I'll give you a couple seconds. Yeah, so expenses are whenever you have money or you've earned money by doing a job and you use that money to spend or purchase on an item or goods and services. So, expenses is money spent on goods and services. Well, what do you mean by goods, Miss G? Well, goods are things that we need, for example, things that we need in our house. For example, when I need groceries, when I need to buy something for my house, like furniture, if I if I go buy something to eat, those things are goods. They're considered what's called goods. Services would be things that people do for you. So imagine you go to get your car washed. They do a service for you. They wash your car, so then you spend money by giving them money for doing that job. That is called the service. So we have expenses, that is money spent, meaning you take your money and you give it to the other person for their job or for their items. So it's money spent on goods and services. We have two different types of expenses. I'm going to create a little T-chart so you can see the difference. Sorry, my lines are not straight. We have fixed expenses and we have variable expenses. So when we have fixed expenses occur regularly and the amount does not change. That means that I always pay the same amount. So in fixed expenses, the amount does not change. So when it comes to fixed expenses, it's things that I usually have to pay either weekly or monthly, things that don't change, that always stay the same. For example, in your house, think of an expense that you have that does not change. Maybe not you, right? But your parents. What would be a fixed expense that you have in your house? Awesome. So one of the fixed expenses might be rent, because you pay it monthly and you usually pay the same amount depending on your contract or what you have with the person that you're renting out for. This is for when you're renting. This is when you don't own the certain property. So if you're actually owning the property, which you're purchasing a house, that is called mortgage. Mortgage is when you own the house, you pay what's called mortgage, and that's also paid monthly. You pay the same amount every month, which makes it a fixed expense. Another expense you might have monthly. Awesome. Maybe your gym membership. Because gym memberships are usually paid monthly and you pay the same amount every month. Another? Good. Maybe your bills, if they come included with your rent. Okay, so all included bills, they'll come monthly too, so that'd be monthly. Good. Okay, good. Okay. So if okay, an unlimited cell phone plan. Awesome, because that would make your cell phone bill the same monthly. Ooh, a newspaper subscription? Good. Maybe you're paying that weekly. So if you look at fixed expenses, you're paying the same amount over and over for a certain either good or a service. So for variable expenses, I'm going to use another color here. Variable expenses are a little different. Yes, we're still spending money on goods and services, but we have different types of expenses. We have fixed, which the amount does not change. It's always staying the same, either monthly or weekly, maybe even daily. So variable expenses are expenses or an amount that changes. Because if you think of the word variable, we use it in math. We use it to represent letters, and these letters always represent a different number. So that amount always changes. So when you think of the word variable, that means it can change. So a variable expense is an amount that changes. What are some examples? Awesome. When I go to the store and I buy, let's say, clothes. When I go to the store and buy clothes, do I always buy the same amount each time? No, I always choose different items, so my price is always going to be something different. So it's a variable expense because that amount changes. Good. Good when I buy games. Good, okay, when I buy food, groceries. Good. Yeah, because when I go to the grocery store, I don't always buy the same amount. Oh, going on vacation. When I go on vacation, I don't always spend the same amount. It depends on where I go. One vacation might be more expensive than the other. Good. Okay, awesome. Buying a car. So when I buy a car, it can be different. If I pay it full, meaning I go buy a car, let's say it's $8,000, and I go and I make that purchase and I give them that full $8,000, that would be one expense that I have, so it'd be variable expense. But it can also be a fixed expense. Why? Why would a car payment, so car payment, also be a fixed expense? Good, because it's going to be a loan. Remember, a loan is something that the banks or a certain financial institution gives you a loan, means they're letting you borrow that money and you have to pay it back monthly. So when you have that monthly bill, it's always the same. So a car payment can also be a fixed expense. Good thinking. So buying a car full, making one big payment, you don't always have that payment, so that would be a variable expense. But if you buy it using a loan, you're going to have monthly bills. Good. So if you look at the differences, variable expenses, my amount always changes. For example, when I go buy clothes, when I buy games, when I go buy food, going on vacation, buying a car, even buying a paleta from the paletero. Ice cream, because I don't always spend that same amount. Maybe the next day I want some chips, so that amount's going to be more. See? So all these things, and we have a bunch of variable expenses every time we go to the store, every time we go out to eat. So going to restaurants, going out to eat. Good, because we don't always spend the same amount, so it'd be a variable expense. So fixed expenses, my amount always stays the same, and I pay usually monthly, weekly, or daily, maybe even yearly. Variable expenses, my amount changes. Every time I spend that amount, it's going to change. So if you have any questions, guys, leave me a comment below and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. Good job, guys.